Hey, welcome back to the Daily Narrative. This is Jeff. I wanted to talk a little bit about the cycle of violence on the left within the Antifa movement, the BLM movement, and the full embrace of violent rhetoric by the politicians on the left. And we're going to get into that right now. Bam, and welcome back again. This is Jeff. You are here with us on the Daily Narrative. If you like today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you disagree, a thumbs down. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notifier. And if you have any comments, leave them down below. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the cycle of violence and in the embracing of violence by the left, the rhetoric that is embraced by the leftist politicians. Very, very dangerous. The left, one thing that they want is control. They want to get back political control. They have lost on every level. They have no economic standings. They have no political standings anymore. Everything they brought to the table has been a failure. Even the latest with Donald Trump actually negotiating peace in the Middle East between Israel and the UAE, soon to be followed by Sudan. After that, Saudi Arabia. No other president before Donald Trump has ever been able to accomplish what Donald Trump has accomplished in 3 years, 4 years time. It's amazing what has happened. And right now you have the left is constantly they're churning and thinking and manipulating, this narrative. Really, the only thing they have left to stand on is what? Let's see. Oh yeah, racism and violence through class warfare. That's it. That's all they have left. So they've been pushing and pushing and pushing this narrative of racism. They pushed an agenda that Donald Trump was somehow influenced and manipulated by Russia. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, they bring up the Russia element. Now it's racism. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to really think about what's going in the minds of the left. They've yet to distance themselves from violence. Has not happened. Why don't we see more of them outspoken against the violent rhetoric that's going on? It's not even rhetoric. It's pure violence in the streets. They had an opportunity to stand up during the Dem convention. 4 days, not one of them came out and was outspoken against the violence that's happening. It's all a false narrative in hopes that they divide the people. Their overall objective, divide the people. If you divide the people, it's easier to control the people. If you keep people oppressed in their homes, easier to control the people. If you manipulate the voting system and create fraud, like in my other video we made on the mail-in ballots, and you defraud the public and you falsify voting through voter fraud and intimidation and coercion and manipulation, obviously easier to control the people. If you push a false narrative that there's systemic racism, easier to divide and manipulate the people. If you allow violence to ferment within the cities, and you make it less safe for the populace to move around and create mechanisms for income and education and everything else, easier to control the people. So the fact that the left is allowing the violence to take place, whether it's against the citizens, whether it's destruction in millions and millions and millions of dollars of property, the deaths of how many people have died, how many kids have died as a result of this false narrative that is being supported by the left. It's disgusting. It's a fraud against the United States, and it's really a traitorous action within the U.S. The left have now become traitors to the American people. So you could try to refute anything I'm saying. Everything I ever bring to this channel, to these videos, will always be backed up by pure, hardcore evidence. I'll always back up my argument with fact and evidence. The left can never back up any of their arguments or any of their position with fact or evidence because they have nothing left to stand on other than their own rhetoric. The one thing the left does very well is project their own internal emotions, their own internal feelings, like racism. Racism is a leftist ideology, division of the people, subjugation of the people, the demeaning of the people. And it's amazing because they've now classified one segment of society through this BLM movement, this Black Lives Matter movement, as you're now putting one group of people and dividing the races. It's just very disgusting what the left is doing, and they're getting into the minds of the people. We have all these young people, parading out in the streets, committing violent acts, attacking white people because they're white. It's unbelievable. But this is what the left has got into their minds because they've lost it every single level, everywhere. They've even tried going after illegal immigration only to find out that legal immigrants don't embrace the notion that the Democrats are trying to perpetrate about illegal immigration. That means that individuals that came over here illegally, unlike those who came over here legally and followed the right protocol and followed the system, and are now part of the American collective, American citizenry. So now when you come over here illegally, which you can't do in any other country, the left wants to embrace those people. They think that they can control them. This is the mechanism. They've taken advantage of the black community, and they've allowed the black community to be demoralized, that they split up the family structure. They took the father figures out of the family. They've subjugated the mindset of the black community by perpetrating, violent mentality and mechanisms in their place within their communities, making them much less safe. It's unbelievable. They've used the Jewish community for years upon year upon year. They're utilizing fear in order to control. They've used fear within the black community, a return of segregation and racism as a mechanisms of control. They've used anti-Semitism and a return to the gas chambers of Nazi Germany as a mechanism of fear and control. They're utilizing the fear of illegal immigrations being sent back to countries they came from and dividing families as a mechanism of fear in order to control. The violent breakdown within the communities that we're seeing is another mechanism of fear through the embracing of violence in order to control. The left talk about the police state while creating their own self-predicting philosophy of a police state by burning down communities, making them less safe, burning down people's businesses, creating violence against individuals. Bring in the police in order to calm the situation. The more you attack, the more they come in. They've created a police state amongst themselves, their own self-fulfilling philosophy. It's very dangerous, this embracing of violence through the rhetoric on the left and the lack of distancing themselves from this violence is extremely dangerous to this country. Those are my thoughts for right now on the systemic violence and the embracing of violence and the rhetoric on the left, because they have nothing left. This is Jeff here with the Daily Narrative. If you like what you heard, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments below, hit that subscribe button, because we want to see you on the next Daily Narrative. I look forward to seeing you. I'm out.